Welcome home. We are WNST, Towson, Baltimore, Baltimore Positive. We're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, but it's sort of like bleeding into the Maryland Oyster Tour in this segment. I am about to participate in this segment in the first of 27 oysters in 27 days because we're doing 26 in 26 days. But she started me a day early. I actually came here today to Koco's thinking, well, she doesn't have an oyster, so I'll do the crab cake tour with her. It's before the football thing gets going, and Mark Viviano wanted to come, and Rasig was here. And then you hit me yesterday, like, I got oysters for you. And I'm like, all right, well, I hope to have a 27th year next year in Baltimore radio doing this. But thank you. And Marcella's here. I'm going to get her mic working right. Eric's here from Koco's. Just a great place and a fun place to be. And you have that sign out in front, nice, only nice people allowed. And I'm glad you let me in every time. And when I come, there's something about seeing that makes you behave when you're here.
Yes.
I'm nicer when I'm here because of that sign, I think.
I think a lot of people are.
Roy tries to bring the good energy here.
Well, I'm trying to bring good energy here. We've had it's been a couple months since we got together, and you had this crazy summer with your air conditioning and weekends.
Are we allowed to cuss on this one?
Well, I know you did that back in June and July. But you had a crazy summer.
We had a crazy summer.
You've won this Best of Baltimore thing from this 100.7 in their festival, and you're getting to go back and defend your crown in a couple of weeks in Carroll County. I went to the event last year.
That's right. We
Liz,
saw you there.
Liz tried to sneak me a crab cake when you had a really big line. And to show I'm an honorable guy, I'm like, I didn't take it. I came over here instead later on and had a crab cake. But your place just keeps percolating, right? I mean, and I guess it's been a weird summer for you because you were doing shout-outs. Those couple of days here they test the business, they test an entrepreneur, they test people, they test patience, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, running a business isn't just, coming up every day and having menu ideas or having the food in the building or having the cold drinks. This summer has been literally having the lights on and keeping it cool.
What goes wrong? What can go wrong?
What can go wrong? We've learned a lot about electricity. We've learned a lot about the infrastructure of Baltimore City. We've learned a lot about the infrastructure of our own buildings.
You were hitting me with stuff about like electric grids that are different in the city. I'm like, it's America. We plug in. We don't all have the same grids.
We don't plug in anymore. We hardwire.
So, I mean, and this happened over the course of time on really hot days in July.
Yes.
39 years you've been
June.
here, right?
It started in June.
Okay, so 39 years of all the challenges, and there's the basic, there's crime in the city, there's this and there's all of that, there's snowstorms, there's parking, there's bike lanes, there's taxes, there's license, there's all of that. Like,
You're stressing me out.
But things like COVID,
taxes yet?
But things like COVID, you can prepare for taxes. You at least know they're coming. You know, for me, it was 3 weeks ago when the flash flood came and the water started flooding into the basement. Right?
Yeah.
At that moment happens. We're sitting there eating some dinner, and then the storm starts, and you're like, holy hell, what could go wrong in the last 15 minutes? I was happy a minute ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough running a business, and you know this. Might be one of the more stressful. COVID sucked, but when yours a Friday night, I felt awful for you.
It happened every time on a weekend. It was insane. It was,
and it was 120 degrees when it happened too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's been a very trying summer, but I think we've got every bug we could have worked out with the issues that we had. So we'll be back next summer.
What happened? Can you just, like, in a nutshell?
Oh my
Eric,
gosh.
you want to take this one on?
I'm going to give this to Eric.
I want to get you on mic a little better. It's all right.
What happened was it was just an overall failure of the grid in our local area, and it caused our systems to run harder than they're designed to run. So when they're running harder than they're designed to run, what happens? They break down. So then
Do you use more electricity than any other little bar that would be like probably a little bit more because you're running?
Yeah, for sure.
You're not a house and you're in a neighborhood of houses, right?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we're on the kind of the same grid, but we have step-up transformers in the building to supply us the power that we need for our equipment. And with just, I think, the overall power that was been pulled from every residential business in the area.
When it's hot.
Yeah, it's just put a lot of stress on the electrical component. So we had a massive transformer blow. We had our three-phase transformer blow. We had our step-up transformer and our basement blow. It's just been everything. So hopefully, everything's new, so we shouldn't have any issues
I hope you had
going
insurance.
forward.
I'm just going to say, thank God for that it got fixed.
Yeah.
We're all here. You know, I worried about every one of my family and my friends at Amici's, these small businesses during COVID, that it made us stronger. I know first time I sat and talked to you about it, it created some sort of resolve to, all right, we shut the place down for 6 months. We can figure out the next 48 hours to get her. And you were hitting me about AC. But I would also say, and this is where I want to bring you in, you are so beloved, and this business is so beloved, that I would think that you really felt that 48 hours into it. I know you did. You sent me thank yous and stuff. And I'm thinking, man, when my wife got sick, people rallied their ish around us. You know?
That was the beauty out of the whole thing, is that we realized how much people love us.
Oh,
everybody was trying to help us.
Yeah.
I said to Jen, like 3 in the afternoon, like, oh my God, this is the first time, not the third time, but the first time, I'm like, Marcella's got, like, her electricity's out. And all I can think about is looking at these crab cakes and thinking, can we blow on them? Can I run up to Royal Farms and get some ice? You know, right. I'm thinking about, like, when my power goes out, the first thing we do,
refrigerator.
Eat the ice cream. Yeah. You got to eat the ice cream.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes just throw the power at your house because you want some ice cream.
Literally, eat the ice cream, you know. You started, like, selling them and telling people to come by and get them. And then, like, 3 hours later, before dinner, I'm like, she's sold out. I'm like, all right, so you basically, you didn't do the whole normal business, but, like, you had an APB, and I hope, did you stay mainly whole? You have a payroll. You have people. You feed a lot of families here. Yes. You stayed whole.
We stayed whole.
Yep. Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's aside from all the troubles and all of that, there was the part where the only way you can find out if people love you is to have a tragedy, right? That's literally right. Yeah. So, Eric, what do you do here? Give me. I saw you making crab cakes here.
Electrician.
When did you meet her the first time?
What was I, 10?
Oh, my gosh.
10 years old?
You were a little boy.
I grew up on the pool tables that used to be here, yeah.
So, how? Your neighborhood? Your relative?
His mom was a good
slightly
customer.
Neighborhood. Up in Parkville, my mother lived there, and this was her local
So you're extended family.
Yeah, yep.
No wonder you get so much out of these people. They're part of the
everybody
furniture.
Gets a job here, yeah.
So what was the first time you walked in here? You were 10? How old? You're
I probably tripped over one of the lumps on the floor or got leaked on by the roof that was leaking.
It did not look like this. I mean, you have a very vivid picture of what it was.
It was very homey. Oh, yeah. Miss Joe's here, always greeting people with a smile.
Pool table era?
Oh, yeah. Both pool tables. Yes. Two pool tables.
All right. Where were they?
We had one over here and one right here.
All right. There you go. All right. So you still picture it that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, I'm that way and I would say this, and Squires is not a sponsor, but hello to the Remedy family and everybody over there. The places that I went as a little boy, I'm 55 now, and when I go into a place now, I remember it. Like Amici's has grown 3 times and moved into 2 sides and built a bar and built out. You had a limited amount of space here. So the actual spiritual space is the same space. You haven't knocked the wall out yet.
We got rid of a closet.
Well, it's a lot more functional now than a water closet.
That's where the kids' corner was, actually. We had a kiddie corner. Kids would come in.
So I grew up, so I got rid of
toys.
It. That was the kids' table.
Yeah.
All right.
That was the kiddie corner.
39 years.
39.
All right. So you win this thing last year. I went out, and that was a crazy day. There was a lot of people. You had to park in Frederick County to get to Carroll County, and the bands were there, and they're going to make it bigger and all that. God bless you all. I have a crab cake tour, and in my mind, I was going to have a festival like that. The old Nestor would think that way. That had 100 employees and like all the stuff that you do that I can't do. I'm just not managed to do it. 100.7 put this thing together.
That's okay. I can't do what you can do.
But I couldn't.
We all have our thing.
Managing people and managing large groups of people at a radio station. My place was like WKRP. All my old employees hate me. I have no idea why. But I tried hard. Even though it's not what I was cut out to do. But throwing these events, I did events. I've done all these big giant things. For a small business to sign up to do it, and I know you probably said, well, that's not what we do. And I have a lot of small businesses.
That's what I said.
Of course, right.
He's the one that pushed for it.
Well, I think it's neat, and I think it's a great, perfect conversation. Because I would have been a guy with a radio station. Hey, I'm doing this festival. Come on, man. I gotta have Costas. I gotta have you. I gotta have Fabians. I gotta have my places to have all the best crab cakes. So, and I feel the way about my tour. And you know what I mean? I'm gonna be at Cooper's. I go to all my places, and it's hard for you to do that kind of event, but then you win it, And the line was, I was there. I saw I
Yeah.
couldn't get one of your crab cakes that day.
We have a large following.
Yeah,
it
and
extends
that
past these
Carroll
borders.
County's
Yeah.
50 miles from here, and you do online now, but your brand and doing an event like that and winning and then rallying the troops to go back again. I mean, I hope you sell twice as many this time, but everybody sold out of crab cakes. Can you make that many crab cakes?
Yes, we can.
All right.
We've all learned a lot from last year. We'll definitely be more prepared. I think the whole group that put it together learned a lot from last year. They let people in earlier than they said they were going to. There's a couple stumbling blocks, but we've learned and we will be back. We will be better.
Well, there were a lot of people there. That's all.
Yeah.
And
we had a line from the jump.
It's an amazing idea, which is why, and I love the guys at 100.7. They know
Yeah.
that. And there's enough crab cakes and money and businesses and oysters for all of us. And really, I mean, we're all in this together. Nobody's got the sports radio or the Orioles or the Ravens. We're all trying to do this. And I think that's the beauty of Baltimore Positive and getting out and doing this. But you guys, to be involved in that, it was a little bit of a shock to me because it's a hard thing to pull off.
Outside
it really
of
is.
our norm.
You're not a catering
lot of-
company.
Right. It's a lot. This is what we got. We have a 2,000 square foot restaurant. That's all we have, you know.
And about 25 or 30 of you? How many of you are?
21.
21 employees.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I wasn't far off.
I think 15 were here and 5 were up with us at the festival.
At my zenith at WNST, I had 16 employees.
Uh-huh.
So I was a similar sized business probably 18, 20 years ago. And things that Saturday tailgate, Towson, let's all go over and tailgate. We've been working our ass off all week.
Right.
Now, a couple of you told me you did an Oriole night this week as a company on Monday.
Yeah, on Labor
So
Day.
you guys shut on Monday. So you did the Labor Day game.
Yep.
Now tell me that everybody in here, Baz, at the bar, everybody loves the Orioles here. This is an Oriole bar, without being a sports bar, but everybody in here loves the Orioles.
Yeah, for sure. It's a hometown place.
They won. Oh, you played the
won.
you played the White Sox.
Beautiful day.
Oh, well,
We
you picked the minor. You picked the worst team in the history of Major League
We
Baseball.
wanted to make sure we had a W.
It was very nervous the first inning, though.
Yes,
they
the
got
first
behind
the
2-0.
first 3 innings
Yeah.
were like, oh, what's going on here? Corbin didn't look himself, but we rallied back.
All right, so I came up with this oyster tour, and I want to pay homage to Damie Hahn down at Fadley's, who's in the Amalfi Coast this week doing her 40th wedding anniversary.
Man.
So, and she shut her
That's my
business down.
dream.
Fadley's is shut this week, and I was supposed to do the show Friday with her. She's like, you can't come in. I'm shut down, and I'm like, oh, that's like the August week at Koco's, and that's like 4th of July at Pizza John's. I mean,
Right, yeah.
all my local
Which I made that
businesses-
mistake twice at Pizza John's.
See, what
so,
I did, I snuck away last week, and nobody knows I was gone because I programmed the station. I get ahead. I put my crab cakes at the door and
That
say,
would
take
be a little
one.
hard for us to
I
do.
know. Well, you can't do that. It's a different kind of
Yeah.
business. You're so sweet to do this, to make the first thing, and I want to do 26 different ways. I'm not sure that I'm going to get a Gruyere, Parmesan, grilled. What the hell else is on this thing? Tell me what's on this.
Compound butter and just a little squeeze of lemon.
Do I want to put the lemon on it first?
I would suggest it, yeah.
All right. Why do you suggest that?
I'm not a big oyster guy.
Okay.
I begged him
Yeah.
to do this for you today.
Yeah.
I came to him yesterday
I just think
and
it
said,
helps brighten them up a little bit.
by the way, Nestor's
at
coming.
these.
It's the Oyster Tour.
No, it's not the
kickoff.
Oyster Tour, but it is right now.
Well,
so,
it is. We
well,
had
I'm
to
going to
jump
put this
on
out.
board.
So I would just say this. The oyster recovery people, I've known a little bit about it. But Damie, when I do these sits with Damie's 3rd, 4th generation seafood. Her parents, grandparents were in the, talk about local businesses. And she loves being the fishmonger's daughter and teaching me about seafood. And she started teaching me about the crabs and the the catfish eating the baby crabs now.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the crab meat go to $60 a pound a couple summers ago.
Yeah.
You had to raise your. We're not doing $12 crab cakes anymore. You can't do that, right? And what the bay is about and the conservation of the bay is the cleanliness of the water, right?
Yeah.
The brackishness of the water.
That's what those do.
These clean the bay. And I'm a dumbass from Dundalk. I never went to biology. I barely made it through science in 9th grade, right? I did not know the science of all this. And about a year and a half ago, she brings me her sides and like you're bringing me, I had the cream of crab. I think your shrimp. I didn't get the shrimp today. We got to fix
You
that.
have to take some
Look,
home.
Yeah, all right. Coconut shrimp. So I think that's your best dish. No offense to your crab cakes, but I love your coconut shrimp here. So she serves raccoon and muskrat there in season.
Yeah.
She tried bringing me this, and the raccoons
Eastern Shore.
Yeah, total right.
Yeah.
So she brought me a fried oyster about a year and a half ago, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever had a fried oyster.
Really?
You know, I've had a lot of raw oysters because I've been to bull roasts when I was a kid, and they looked a little mushy and weird. And then they told me they put lead in the pencil, and I'm like, all right, give me some.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, I got. I've only had them one way in my life: cocktail sauce and a lemon. All my life. I'm 53 years old at the time. And she brought me fried oyster, and I'm like, that tastes like fried chicken. You know, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started thinking about it. She's like, the oysters oxygenate the bay. What's wrong with you? So she gets me going on this. And then I thought, well, I'm going to do an oyster. I wanted to do it last year, didn't do it. I wanted to do it in August. The problem with that, there's no R.
There's no R.
Yeah, I can't do oysters in August.
Right.
So I said, well, I don't
think that's
that's not a real thing.
fallacy.
It's not. I'm gonna get to that this month too. So I was gonna do October, but the Orioles are gonna be playing in the World Series, and I can't afford to do that.
Sure.
So I said I'm gonna do September, and I'm gonna keep it more local. And then the oyster recovery people were like, no. You got to go to the Eastern Shore. You got to get on to Southern Maryland, down to Solomon's in that area, because that's where all the oyster beds are. You're going to learn about oysters and what they do. So the month is about education. It's about eating them different ways. It's about me saying I had only ever had. I did have char-grilled oysters at the Super Bowl in New Orleans 12 years ago. Chris Piker was with me at a media party, and the first time I ate it, I'm like, that's the greatest thing I've ever. I went down to Drago's and dropped $50 and bought some while I was there, and I said I'm going to do that at home. I never did it at home now. And Riley's oyster, Brian McComas, when my wife was fighting for her life, this was one of the items she couldn't eat. She couldn't eat raw meat. A lot of things, things that would have that could
parasites.
Yeah,
potentially
have bad things. Cheese. So when she first got fixed and the doctor gave her the
blessing,
she went and had raw oysters down at Riley's Oyster, right? So, and he's got, we got the Avery this and the chicken tink that and the P.E. Island, and I'm like, they just give me some cocktail, and I'm like, all right, so all these chefy people want to do them, and I love oysters Rockefeller. You know, I do that sometimes at Costas. They put all that spinach on there. I go crazy with that. So
these are my favorite style.
My problem with oysters is your problem with oysters, which is shrimp, get that first. Crab cake, get that first. Meatloaf, get that first. Yeah. Burger, get that first. I'm getting your ribs tonight. I've never had them. I'm taking them home.
I was thinking about
that. I'm taking them home tonight.
I was just boxing up some ribs back there.
I'm taking them home tonight. I've never had them.
I wonder if Nestor's ever tried our ribs.
I've never had your ribs.
I have customers that call me to make sure that we have ribs before they come here to eat. Because they come.
I did that with Peach Cake at Fenwick a little while ago.
Yeah.
By the way, you got 1 week left on Fenwick.
They're really
Peach
starting
Cake.
to take off.
Yeah.
So the oyster thing for me was discovery and the conversation, and I get to go over and visit with John Shields, who's my cousin by marriage, and I get to go to Costas, and I get to go down to Cooper's for the Fells Point Oyster Festival next week. I'm hosting all evening on the 26th at the B&O Warehouse, B&O Museum. They're doing all the oyster farmers come in that night. It's their big gala. So I'm going to sit and do the show and talk oysters all night. So you're very sweet because you didn't have to do this. And I know you're not the oyster educational person I'm trying to learn a little bit. But you put this on the menu today to honor us, and we're appreciative. And our friends at Liberty Pure and the Oyster Recovery Partnership. So the big thing for the oyster recovery, and you're qualified, but you're not because you're not going to do oysters every day. But what they really try to do is get every Conrad's that has a raw bar, anybody that's got a raw bar, save the shells.
Yeah.
That's the recovery. So you do know that.
Yeah,
I actually did my one of my senior projects was on oyster recovery with the Patricia Campbell down at the Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
Tell me about it. Teach me. What do you remember
Basically,
about it?
they're just trying to go around to
I'm
the
gonna
restaurants
eat while you do that. It's my first oyster tour.
Sure. To save the shells, because all they do is they grind it up. They put what's called spat on there, which is baby oyster larva.
So you are teaching me. Look at you. You know it.
They go in there
you know stuff.
And that's how they.
Brain.
Yeah, I am a biology major.
You weren't even going to come on the show. What's wrong with you?
Because I got brains. So they basically just grind up a shell. They put baby larvae on them, throw it in the bay, and they'll grow.
I've seen these on the crab cake tour, and I'm going to give a free crab cake plug because I love doing this. It's the most remote crab cake. Well, the most remote crab cake I had was on Smith Island. Delicious. They put black pepper in it. It was delicious. Weird. One of the most delicate, delicious crab cakes I've ever had was in Hooper's Island. And I did it on the tour, and it was highly recommended. Place, it's called Old Salties. Okay. You have to go all the way to the end of the end. That's why it tastes so freaking good here. Now I know. So there's a finger onto the bay. on the west shore of the Eastern Shore. So you go to Cambridge and you make a right and you go through the most amazing. You ever been to Blackwater Refuge?
I've driven through, haven't spent any time.
I mean, it's one of the gems of our state.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful birds. You'll feel like you're in like New Orleans on a marsh.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It's flat. It's almost Asian, and it's the way the water is. You could go down there and read a book and get mosquito bites, and then you keep going. And you go to Hooper's Island, all the way down to Hooper's Island. Now, my friend Chad, the crab man from Al's Seafood in Essex, his place burned down, down at Stemmers Run. His whole family's Hooper's Island. So he would always say to me, I get the freshest crabs because they're coming from Hooper's Island. And, that's pretty good Chad, too, because he had that voice. We were literally partners over at Eastwood. So I went down to Hooper's Island. I went to Old Salty's, and they gave me this crab meat that had just come out of the water.
Yep.
And it had the orange roe in it. And it was like yours. It was creamy and delicate, and it was just delicious. And I looked out the window, and it reminded me when we were kids, we would go through the harbor tunnel, and you'd see the salt.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Salt and pepper piles.
The piles of the salt, right? It was the shells at Hooper's
really?
Island,
Okay.
outside of Old Salty's. It looked like the pyramids. You know what I mean? And it's all the shells, and that's
Do they process oysters down there?
that's what
Okay.
they do. And I'm going to go down there in a couple of weeks this month and see the operations.
Yeah, it's
and
really
the oyster.
fascinating, yeah.
What you did, it's spat.
Spat on shell.
All
That's
right.
how they all start.
I'm going to learn. Did you learn something?
I learned something.
Well, last time I had you on, I learned about parrots and rescuing parrots.
Yep.
So you never know what you're going to learn on the show. You know.
Educational.
10 years old, grew up here at Koco's. My appreciation, you guys. I mean, I'm going to eat it. You going to eat one?
I already had one. They're
All right,
yours.
well, all right, I'm going to have a couple more then.
You eat while
I'm
Eric
wondering-
teaches us about.
Well, I'm wondering how many
I've given
oysters
all
I'm
I have
actually
to
going to
give
eat
about
this month.
It was years
That's all you
ago I
got?
did my
That's all you-
project.
it was college.
I'm sure if I
years
brought
ago.
out my paper, I could teach
7
you a
years
lot
of
more.
college down the
Yeah.
drain.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you like them?
They're delicious, and more than that, they're unique. I don't know that I'm going to have
Because you
a
can
Gruyere.
actually taste the oyster. It's not.
That's delicious. I haven't put enough lemon on
Yeah,
this thing.
I like lemon on it. But when you get them
So-
fried, anything tastes the same fried to me.
Yeah.
Whether it's fried cheese or
Depends what's been fried in the
chicken
oil.
or fried oyster, it's just or calamari. It's
Well, this
all
gives
just
me a chance to
fried.
talk specials with you guys because you put this silly thing on special for me, driving your kitchen crazy. I'm sorry.
all right. We're used to
but you do burgers every week. I didn't like your burger this week. It's too spicy for me. Sometimes, like, it was a jalapeno, spicy cream, I'm out. Onion, I'm out. Jalapeno, I'm out. Yeah. So,
And
but
you're
when you
spicy.
do,
And you're from Cuba, right?
no, I'm Venezuelan, but
Venezuela.
that's not. My people, I'm spicy enough by nature.
God.
I
You know,
don't need
Renee
that.
doesn't like spicy either.
No, really.
Yeah.
I don't dislike spicy. I
So
dislike
you're from
jalapeno spicy.
Venezuela?
Here's what I've learned. Yes, I'm
Okay.
Venezuelan.
So there's a new place
Like
in
Albert
Fells Point
Suarez.
that just opened up. Arepas.
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 That an arepa is it's the national food of Venezuela.
That's what
Okay.
just opened
Yeah.
up by us.
So what it basically is, it's a sandwich.
It's
Learn
like
about food.
It's like a beef patty, right?
It's pan. It's pan. It's
Bread.
corn. It's pan fried into a larger pancake, and then almost like an English muffin, like an English muffin that's made of almost cornmeal. Okay, it's tastier than that. My stepmother, my stepmother made the greatest arepas ever. Chicken and so you put anything in it. It's like a taco. You put anything in it you
Okay.
want. Chicken, beef. Avocado, vegetables, beans and rice, steak, anything. So an arepa is a Venezuelan sandwich. Literally, it's a Venezuelan taco. But it's not a taco shell, and it's softer than that. But that is when I was in Hawaii and
Is
I
it
found
fried
an
or
arepa
baked?
place. Pan fried, but not.
Not like deep fried.
The best arepas in Baltimore have been at Alma, Alma Cocina, and they also have Venezuelan beer. They have Polar. It's a polar bear, so it's a pilsner. So that's the Venezuelan beer. So yeah, I'm Venezuelan.
Okay.
Yeah. But so thank you
So
for asking.
do you know about the new place opened in Fells Point?
I got to go.
So it's attached to the Sound Garden.
That's on that side, on the horse side.
Yes.
I'm doing the show at Cooper's next Friday. I'll walk over and get an arepa.
I want to
I'll
I'm
support
going to
them.
bring them in for the crew. Every Tuesday I bring in food from somewhere and feed
Well,
everybody.
find out everything I do with an arepa is I find out whichever the most popular one is, like on Google. If the chicken one's really good or the pork, whatever's
Right.
because that would tell me because it's a stuffing
And then
in
they
it.
have
Right.
something else there. I don't remember what it's called, but it's done with a pancake, it says.
Okay.
So I want to try that too.
Well,
But I heard it's a popular place.
you know, if I had
think
my
they
press
have a food
pass, I would
truck.
take Albert Suarez there, and we get arepas together as Venezuelans.
Yeah.
But I don't know Albert Suarez. You see Albert Suarez, don't meet me at arepas. We'll bring him over to Koco's. You do specials here, and I've already pimped your Koco shrimp. I mean, people call me here for the crap. I talked to a woman at the bar. I gave her a couple of. I had lunch at the bar. She came in and she sat next to me, and she's like, "Oh, you got a salad. That looks good. Oh, that cream of crab soup looks good." She's like, "Do you come here often? What would you get on the menu?" And I said, "Get the coconut shrimp." And I said, "Get the cream of crab soup." You agree with that, or do you disagree with
Yeah,
that?
I think
Forget
all
the
of our
crab.
food's
Everybody
good.
knows the crab cakes are
Right.
great here, right?
Yes.
Like and this is the point of the oyster thing. I never ordered oysters ever. I've had seafood businesses for 30 years. I was at the bar and I broadcast for 10 years. They had oysters. I never got one. If I did, maybe it was raw. But they were doing dollar oysters on Monday Night Football. But I'd never experienced them in that way. And I think specials give the chef a chance to turn a cheeseburger into something too spicy for me.
Right.
But you guys do specials. I mean, that's part of the beauty.
that's part of our.
And it's Wednesday burger special.
We really do it for the locals because we do know that a lot of people come here for the crab cakes, but we want to give the locals something a little bit different to try every week, so that way they have a different taste in their mouth. And
Matter of fact,
keep them coming
Wednesdays
back.
have become
Yeah.
locals night because of that. All our locals.
I'm an
come in.
embarrassment because I never order a crab cake here unless you give it to me on the air. I take them home. And what I order here is like the coconut shrimp won't go home.
Yeah.
I see these French fries come by, and I love your French fries, but I never order them because I never like sit down here and eat
Right.
a hot
if I'm
meal.
going to eat
Yeah.
French fries, I want them hot. Right
Talk
on the
about
fryer.
COVID. You can't French fry during COVID. French fries were not a carry-out item.
We actually had to switch our fries during COVID because they're a little bit different with the coating because we were doing nothing but carry-out.
Right.
So our old style did not hold up well for
I like your
carry-out.
fries. Your fries are like the old Wendy's fries. They're like a real French fry. They
Yeah.
taste like a potato.
It's a potato.
I love
Nothing
potato.
complicated about
I don't
it.
like those little pixie sticks. Forget that. I'll give me some Utz. I'll have some potato chips.
They
if I
get
wanna do
cold
that.
too fast, too.
They do. They do. They freeze out. Yeah. So, but I never have your French fries, but I want them. I even said Viviano laughed at me because 2 plates of them came by. I'm like, I just want to grab one and dip it in
You
ketchup,
know how hard
know?
it is to deliver food to customers and not grab their fries?
So what are you doing for specials? Who decides on the specials right now? Because you do weird stuff. I mean, you sent me home.
That's all
You
Eric.
sent me home with like this chicken you were doing on a grill outside.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
the
like
jerk
a
chicken?
But it
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
the jerk
Peruvian or a
chicken.
jerk? What was it? Jerk?
Either one.
Yeah,
We've
but it was
done both.
Peruvian.
Peruvian?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, it was delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, we do all kinds of specials. Wednesday's generally our special day because that's our locals night. So, yeah, you got to check our Instagram, check our Facebook, and we keep that updated on the happenings here.
And how's the shipping work? What do we got to do? Just order? That's it?
Online.
Simple?
Yeah, we made it simple now.
1 click and we go.
Couple clicks, but yeah.
All right, well, good enough. I mean,
Nonetheless.
that is everybody that ships a crab cake has a favorite crab cake, and now you can say, well, I can send it to Minnesota, and it's going to get there, and it's going to be really good and fresh.
Overnight,
and
we don't freeze them.
If you miss Koco's crab cakes and you're out of market, you know, it's a click. It's like Amazon, literally.
Right.
I'm blown away by that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's heartening for you, right? They send a package. 2 days later, they send a picture. They're happy. They have your food.
It's great. It's
I
great
mean,
seeing
you
it,
should
yeah.
share more of that.
And
when
it's
people
really
do
the
that. That's kind
stories
of cool.
that people send over. We haven't been in Baltimore for 15 years. We're so thankful that you guys send crab cakes to New Orleans or California
On Christmas or my birthday,
Yeah, Christmas
right?
is wild, but yeah, it's great.
For Game 1 of the World Series next month, maybe.
There you go.
You holding that hope? Don't be that way. This is Baltimore positive. Come on.
The pitching has got me scared. That's
Pitching's got everybody scared, but they hit the ball.
yeah.
You don't have to be the best team September 10th to win the World Series. You need to be the best team every night in October. You know, they will have arms. They will be major league arms, and then they're going to need to hit the ball. And the bullpen's going to need to be better than it's been.
Yeah.
And if it's not, they'll get eliminated, and that's cool. But I like the fact that we're playing ball. I like the fact that we're in first place. I like the fact
The
that we're gonna,
stadium was packed.
I like the fact that
Yeah.
we're
We were
pissed at
there.
the Yankees again, and 2 weeks from now, we got big games. I love the fact that it's intersecting with football when our football team's really good.
And
Dude,
we're
I grew
still
up here
talking
with
about the
lousy Colts
Orioles.
teams, lousy Orioles teams. I've been on the air 33 years. This is the most prosperous September in the history of this radio station of the city.
Got new ownership.
I'm working through that, but
Yeah.
new ownerships treat me like the old ownership, which I'm writing about that all month. But at least I get to come out and be treated well by people like you, and I appreciate it. So I'm wondering when I eat these oysters because these oyster people are nuts. They're going to bring me 6 of these and 8 of these and lemons. Whoa, slow down! I'm doing this every day.
Yeah.
So this was manageable. This
Yeah.
is 5 oysters.
nice
Did you warn
warm-up.
your wife?
I'm going to let her know about that. I think you just did. I don't believe in that anymore than I believe in the R in the
I
months.
know. I
but
don't either. But it's fun.
It is fun.
It
yeah.
sells them.
At Faithley's, they have a shirt. It says, "Forget Viagra, eat oysters." So we'll be out visiting with everyone. This is as great a place as I know in Baltimore. It's Koco's Pub. Marcella's here. Eric's here. Liz is gone. We got Baz not around.
He might still be on
Your
vacation.
soccer star has been avoiding me.
She might still be here.
She's been running around. So we're doing it all for the Maryland Lottery. Our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, I want to give them some love as well. Doug and everybody keeps my water clean. Jiffy Lube Multi-Care puts us out on the road. The Oyster Recovery Partnership, our friends at Curio Wellness, sponsoring the 26th anniversary and all the memories we're going to make on the road. So 5 today. I'm going to add them up every day. After 27 days, to your point, I think the over-under on how many I'm going to eat is probably 200 this month. Woo. Dude, I've seen people sit and knock back 3-4 dozen oysters at a bull roast.
Oh, for sure.
Think nothing of it. Like,
Right.
literally, right? Eating them out of a jar, And they are small items.
Yeah.
Like, I just ate 5 of them and I'm still hungry.
You're still hungry. You're
Yeah,
probably more
yeah.
hungry.
So
it's not the kind
this
of
is
thing
the
that
way.
fills
So
you up.
I want to plug all these cool places we're doing oysters because a lot of them I've never been to, and they're little businesses like yours. In Hamden, there's a place called Dylan's.
Yeah.
Dylan's Cellar, right?
Yep.
So I barely know where these places are, and this gives me a great chance to go get a brunch on a Sunday with my wife, do something a little different. The Orioles the Ravens are playing a 4:00 game a couple weeks from now. We're gonna do all of these really awesome, nice local places that are doing oysters. So I'm at Gertrude's. You ever been to the Pepper Mill?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I'm
my
too young.
parents used to
You took your mother.
Yeah.
My parents used to take me there when I was young.
I've only been there once in my life. It
And-
was 25 years ago. I had lunch there.
Yeah.
I'm
and-
going
with
this
that
Friday. I'm going. They have a famous oyster stew.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
I didn't know
right.
that.
They have it's on the
Okay.
sign. They have a famous oyster
They
stew.
have really good food.
I know.
They have
I
really
am
good
going
food.
to Frederick on Saturday to the Shuckin' Shack Oyster Bar.
I know where that is.
And I'm going to have an oyster shooter. Different way to have an oyster.
Okay.
What do you think of that, right? Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to this, the Urban Oysters, a great
They
place.
have
new one?
great oysters.
I'm doing a
I haven't
brunch.
we were at the food truck.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Like,
Was
you
it
think
a food
oysters,
truck
oysters,
or
oysters.
it was a
I'm going to go over and get
10?
some Gucci oyster like you made me, but I'm going to get like the French toast for brunch.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I'm going to,
Yeah.
and the Ravens don't play on Sunday. So we're going to all these great places. I'm going to be at Riley's Oyster next week. I'm going to be at Dylan's Oyster Cellar before the Pearl Jam concert next Thursday.
Nice.
So I'm on pregame with some oysters. Look at Eddie Vedder. We're at Cooper's in Fells Point next Friday for the Fells Point Oyster Festival. That's going on all weekend down there. Marvin Lewis is going to find me with the Raiders in town next week too, so we're looking forward to that. I'm going to be at the I'm going to be on the Eastern Shore and then the Southern Maryland Shore. We're going to be at let's see here. We're going to be at Faithley's on the 20th. We're going to be at State Fair on the 24th with Angela also Brooks, who is running for Senate. We're going to be at Costas on the 27th, and then we're going to be with the governor later on in the month as well down in Annapolis. So.
nice.
Phew, I'm going to have a lot of oysters. Thanks for being
Busy month.
What
Yeah.
do you know what kind of oysters these were? Like a name of the
Chincoteagues.
They're Chickatink. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I just want to I'm just making sure that my oyster snob
You're
comes
gonna
out.
try
right.
every
I gotta
variety they
learn,
have
I know.
I personally like PEI oysters. They're small.
Prince Edward Island.
Yeah,
So
they're delicious.
I'm gonna
that's
tell the
my-
story-
That's my thing.
I'm going to tell a story 5 times this month.
Well, because I don't like the real big ones. That weirds me out when they're real big.
did,
Yeah.
did you know Scunny?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So we both love Scunny. We knew Scunny, right? Nacho Mom. Oh, by the way, I'm doing Mama's on the Half.
Oh,
In
cool.
Owings Mills. I'm going to have an oyster there later in the month, too. I don't know what day. I have some wild card days. I'm trying to put it all together. Because a lot of it is about if the owner's there, I want to come by and say hello, make sure they're open, all that. But I've done a lot of research. It's going to be a great month, and I'm going to spend time meeting people. Prince Edward Island, the weekend that Scunny died, my wife and I were up in Moncton, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. And we were seeing Springsteen. We're chasing Springsteen. played an outdoor show in this thing called
He
Magnetic
goes to a
Hill.
lot of concerts.
It's my thing. Since sports threw me out, I chase concerts. I have more fun that way.
Cool.
Nobody loses.
Yeah.
I can have some
Everybody
beers.
wins.
Everybody's happy, right? So we went up there for this thing, and Scunny passed away that weekend, and it was like kind of freaked me out a little bit. But my wife and I were going to drive to Prince Edward Island. Now, Prince Edward Island it's an island that was completely, for all of humanity, you had to have a boat to get to it. It was like the Smith Island. Like Smith Island here, bigger than that, but it's, you can Google Prince Edward Island. Everybody knows PEI Island oysters, right? They have cannabis up there too, but don't tell anybody. It's Canada. It's legal here now. No problem. I can say that now. I couldn't say that before. So went up to Moncton. My wife and I get in the car to drive to Prince Edward Island. So I was a longtime sports writer. You can find all this out in the documentary if you ever watch it, about my hockey days back in the 90s. And I met guys from Prince Edward Island that played on the team. A guy named Tyler Larder was a little guy, scorer, left-handed. A guy named Kent Painter was a big defenseman. They were from Prince Edward Island. And they would always say, you got to come to the island, man. We got that. But you got to take a boat. Where I live, you got it. I said, so you fly home and you have to get on a boat? No, we got a ferry. We take the ferry to the island.
It's a boat.
I'm like, that's a hell of a way. That's like Gilligan's Island.
Uh-huh.
Like, can you imagine the night to get home? You had to go somewhere and get on a boat just to go home.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to stay on the island and never leave the island, and it's a little island,
good
right?
To me.
Provincetown, I hear, is nice, and I only hear it's nice because of this. Doug McLean was he's a beautiful guy. He's a brilliant. He coached in the NHL, coached the Stanley Cup Finals, general manager. Smart guy like you, Eric. Maclean. He was a skipjacks coach in 1991. I knew him then, and he was a father figure to me. He was a professor, and he would always try to make me a better human. You got to come to Prince Edward. So he does my show for years, and I had him on, and he's like, you got to go to Prince Edward Island. So my wife and I drive to Prince Edward Island. We're going to go to Prince Edward Island. We're convinced we're going to get there. We get there. There's a welcoming house, and we went into the house, and we watched the movie about how they made this bridge. And the most wealthy man on Prince Edward Island, the Steve Bisciotti of Prince Edward Island, bequeathed $500 million, whatever the project was. It's like rebuilding our bridge, right? Way longer bridge than the Key Bridge, right? But way longer than the Bay Bridge. It's a really long bridge. The biggest project in the history of Canadian government ever. And it was built in like the mid-'90s. You know what I mean? It's a modern bridge.
Sure.
Because when I met these guys in 1991, you had to have a boat. Imagine that life, right? So we go up, and how cold it is and where it is in the North Pole. It's not that cold. It has actually some interesting winds from a climate standpoint. But we drove, we watched the movie, 30 minutes. People died. We toured around. We saw the bridge, and we came out, and it was like $43 to cross the bridge.
So he's trying to make his money back.
Look at the look in his eyes. That's the look we had in our eyes. And we went out, and I looked at the bridge, and I thought, well, what the hell are we going to do when we get over there? We were just going to go to, like, the Koco's of Provincetown and have a beer, probably have fish and chips or something.
So you didn't do it?
I didn't do it. We didn't cross the bridge.
Do you regret it?
I regret it when Doug McLean was cussing me out on the radio. What do you mean? So let me get this straight. He said this to me. He said, so we had a ferry that was $20. I said, well, I would have taken the ferry. I said, the ferry would have sounded like something would have been
At least
fun.
you get a boat ride.
He said, you Americans, you disgust me. So I've had Prince Edward Island oysters, but I ain't never been to Prince Edward Island. I saw it. It looked really nice. Hold on a second. I did this with Doug on the show. I did this shtick, and I looked up how much it cost to go across the bridge, and I did it again, and it went up. So how much
Canadian
to cross? Well, that is.
All right.
PE Island Bridge. PE Island Bridge. Let's see how much to cost. It is how much it cost the bridge. It's $50.25.
Holy moly!
Could you imagine that?
That's the first two axles.
Insane.
Motorcycle's only $20. So if you have an extra axle, it's
There
$80.
you go.
So it's $50.25.
Oh, you don't have your motorcycle
Yeah, I
anymore.
sold it.
But you're right; it is Canadian. So I want to see if I can translate that.
Well, now it's pretty comparable.
It's really no, it's not.
No?
It's real strong. It's probably like $39,
Okay.
maybe $40. I'll Google it. Maybe $42.
Still, that's crazy.
I couldn't imagine.
Okay, so now you know why I didn't. Because like, it's $50 across the bridge. We're gonna spend $50 at lunch. We didn't do it.
Right.
So I feel like a jerk all these years later. I wonder what's over
Well,
there.
you'll have to make another trip.
Yeah.
The best cannabis and oysters known to mankind must be over there.
Must be.
Well, if there were four of us, we
might
could have
have to
split
make
the
a trip.
cost. They like the drive-in at Benji's. Marcella is here. We're Koco. It's all brought to you by friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have destroyed the first 5 oysters of the Oyster Tour. Chinkatink
I
oysters?
think I got
Yep.
your 6th one because I had one, and aren't they supposed to be 6 to an order? 5.
That's the new dozen.
Yeah.
They call that the lanyap in New Orleans. They give you the 13th donut. That's the lanyap. That's the extra.
What's the
Okay.
name of that donut place you were talking about?
Crumpies.
Crumpies. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
In Hagerstown.
Is he
was
coming
telling me
back tonight?
earlier.
I'm being serious. Is he coming back at 7
well,
o'clock? He already left.
He's already left
All
because
right.
he has a condo meeting at 6 o'clock.
All
so.
right. There's a place in Hagerstown. It's called Crumpies. It's famous. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and Google it. Krumpe. Family business. It's in the back of a home in an alley. It looks like Parkville.
this.
Right. I
It
know.
totally looks like. And they only sell their donuts at night. They open at 7 o'clock at
weird?
night. I mean, when I looked it up, I said to my wife, I'm like, this can't be right.
Yeah.
But it is. It's in Donut Alley, Hagerstown.
Just a small
This is a
little
great.
place.
I plugged Hooper's
so when
Island
you're
in
bored
this
one
piece.
day, you can take
Yeah.
a road trip to
This
Hagerstown.
state-
Yeah,
and
I've
get some
been bored
donuts.
often, huh?
If I've learned nothing else on the crab cake tour, and doing it I've done it in August. The 2 years I've done it, just driving the state in August. Like you give your vacation here, and you probably go to Ocean City or you go to Delaware. Where do you go?
Yeah, Dewey Beach.
Dewey Beach. If you just spent a week in the state of Maryland going to Antietam, just see the battlefields. Go out to Swallow Falls, past Deep Creek. Go to Deep Creek Lake. Go to Swallow Falls.
He loves Deep Creek. That's his
Swallow.
spot.
You've been to Swallow Falls.
Many of times.
Is that where I went on the hike?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I went
Is
there.
that one of the
I've
most?
been there.
There's waterfalls.
His
Yeah.
wedding was in Deep Creek
Yep.
Lake.
You think you're in Hawaii when you're at Swallow Falls. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Maybe not Hawaii, but
Yeah.
you're somewhere.
I've been to
pretty
Hawaii.
nice.
I've been to the
It's
waterfalls in
beautiful,
Hawaii,
yeah. Muddy
and
Creek
it
is
reminds me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a beautiful state, and I just gave you the black water and all that stuff. But getting out and doing stuff, the Oyster Tour allows me to do that. The Crab Cake Tour allowed me to do it. And the thing that I learned so much is driving Eastern Shore. There's a place called Suicide Bridge over there. It's got a great crab cake. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like you go to this Trump sign and that Trump sign, and there they are. And there's a bridge.
How much is that bridge?
Free. Yeah. You know, that bridge is interesting. It's Suicide Bridge because they have the little quarter you put in where you can feed the ducks.
Okay.
You know, because they have the ducks that
God,
come
I
up,
remember
and they have a
those
ferry.
things.
Oh yeah, I mean Eastern Shore, Maryland's awesome,
Yeah.
and it's the crab cake that led me to you. That's lead me to all these places and lead me to the oysters. And I have no idea what I'm going to come up with the next 26 days, but I'm going to go to probably about 15 or 20 new restaurants, all local, meet some new people, learn a little bit about oysters, and have some fun.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's what Maryland's all about.
Marcella's
great.
here, Eric's here. We're at Koco's Pub. They run the joint. You can order them here. You can curbside them. When our air conditioning's running, you can even come inside. And that's today. You know, the
Today
thing
and
about your air
tomorrow.
condition, Terry Ricigliano's been here twice. Your air conditioning's so chilly in here
It's
that
cold
she
now.
freezes in here.
I'm free.
You got
I've
sweatshirt
got
on.
a sweatshirt on today.
We want to show it all. We got it fixed. We're showing it all. We'll turn it back to a habitable temperature soon, but yeah, we really want to show
Koco's
this
now
off.
in air-conditioned
Yeah.
comfort. This is what we got. Our friends at the Maryland Lottery, our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, please support our sponsors, support Koco's. Come out here, take care of local people. We got great people here to serve you and also just to ship them. If you're catching this from out of town, stop by. And what's the date on the Crab Cake
Oh
Festival?
yeah, we didn't talk about
Crab
any
Cake
of that.
Festival is October 26th.
Oh, so
and then
it's that's
yeah.
what day? Game
That's
2 of the World Series, I think.
Game 6
And
of
then
the
the
World Series.
Susquehanna
We're gonna
Wine
win.
Festival.
We're gonna win the festival and the World Series that year.
So I got to put that in my calendar because that's out of Carroll County with Brillhart and the 100.7 group.
The Susquehanna
over there.
Festival is coming up. I think it's
It's
Saturday.
game 2 of the World
21st.
Series. It's 26. Game 2.
Yeah?
Game
Okay.
2. Yeah. So I don't know whether that be here or whether that's going to be in Philadelphia. I'm making that up.
It'll be here.
Okay.
It'll be here.
Don't you want the Phillies again? Like, well, you weren't around at 83.
Well, yeah, because
You're
my
not young
brother-in-law,
enough.
my
Yeah.
brother-in-law is a Phillies fan, so we went to
That
the
would be
Phillies
cool.
game on Father's Day.
I've always felt like I wanted to beat the Redskins or whatever they're calling themselves this week in the Super Bowl. But then I thought if we lost to them, it'd be like Harbaugh's brother.
Yeah.
Be like, ooh.
But also, the Redskins aren't ever going to make it. So.
That's a good point. Or
Yeah.
the Commanders, whatever they're called this week.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to sign off. Mark Viviano was here. Rasig was here. Rasig's wife was here. Liz was here. She waved and said goodbye. Where's Baz? My people here.
He's not here today.
Oh, he's getting my eggnog ready. Yes, he is. Holiday. Next time I come in here, it'll be Christmas.
I know.
Oh, Jesus.
I was thinking about that on the way in today.
Well, I'm not next time I do the show
the next
here.
show's going to be
I come in here a couple
December.
times a month, but next time I'm doing the show in here.
Right,
Come on by Koco's. They're in Lauraville. They're in beautiful Hartford Road. Come back to the city. Support the city. Come see Pearl Jam. Go see Springsteen next week. Styx is in town next week.
You seeing all of them?
I can't see them all. Springsteen and Styx and Lake Street Dive are all the same night. My wife is in love with Lake Street Dive, and they're playing Merriweather. Okay. And you know what I told her? Take the car and have a good time. So I think I'm going to see Styx, actually, instead of Springsteen.
I was going to say Styx.
I got to write that line down. Newly married,
Take the car and have a good time. You're newly married? How long have you been married?
It'll be a year at the end of this month.
All right, so I'm going to give you some funny advice that came to me from a guy named Al McGuire. Al McGuire is a famous basketball coach, Hall of Fame coach, coached at Marquette. He was on television for many, many years doing college basketball. For 30 years, he called college basketball. And Kevin Byrne of the Kevin Byrne Press Box that I'm banned from at Raven Stadium. Kevin Byrne should be ashamed, appalled. You all should be. But nonetheless, the Kevin Byrne Press Box. Kevin Byrne was the PR director for Marquette. And the year they won the championship, and Al was the coach. And when I got married, Kevin told me this story, and it's funny. Probably a little off color, but funny. Kevin got married during that period of time, and they just won a national championship. Uh-huh. And Al said, "Hey, Kevin, I'm giving a speech down in Chicago. Come on down. There's going to be, booze and this and that, food and whatever. And come on down. I'm giving a speech, Coach of the Year, whatever it was." And Kevin's like, "I just got married, man. I got to stay home." He's like, "Listen, in any successful relationship, there can only be one happy person. You need to make sure that's you."
Be you, right?
That's great.
Fantastic.
So,
I've been doing this all wrong.
Yeah, right? Marcella, who's happier, you or your husband? Right, exactly. He told me that, too. I'm Nestor.
Hey,
We're WNST.
my husband says to our dog all the time, "Who's the most special person in the whole wide world?" Mommy! So there you go.
My cat loves my wife more than me. My cat loves me. My cat.
Who's number one? That's what he says. Who's number one? He says it to
There's
our
a
dog.
great-
Who's number one?
There's a
Mommy.
great Joe Jackson song called "Be My Number Two." Won't you be my? It's a sad, song. But I always say I'm number two, for my kitty cat. But I love her anyway. I love Koco's too, and they're number one. Come
All
see
right.
it. Back for more right after this.
See ya.